All right. We getting this thing cracking right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Tariq Radio. We are here. Let's everybody get on in the room. We are here. Let me take a good look at y'all so we can get this thing popping. I can't see nothing yet, but we're gonna see you in 1 second. Y'all bear with me. We're here. We're gonna have a good conversation with Jason Black, Professor Black Truth. They're gonna be calling in shortly. Let me get I've been trying to get all my audio and everything together. You know, my audio, especially when I'm taking calls, it always gets a little janky. All right, but we're here. Let everybody know that we're live right now. I know a lot of people are watching the Super Bowl right now. Hello? Hello?
Blackford.
Hey, brother.
Okay, I'm adding Professor Black Truth onto it now.
Okay, good. Okay. Here, let me get my...
You should already have been there.
Okay.
Professor, you should be on the line. I hear it loud and clear.
Oh, there we go. All right, let me get everybody straight here. Professor Black Truth, how are you, brother?
Keeping it black. How about you, brother?
I'm good. So, tonight, we are going to have the foundational Black American State of the Union. We're talking to real Black media right now. So, we're going to talk about what's going on in Black society, what's needed in Black society. Excuse me for that audio. We're going to have a real discussion because there's a lot of attacks on us right now, people who are doing real Black media. Those of us who are telling the truth. There is a concentrated effort for them to target us and attack us majorly. So we're going to organize and we're going to talk about what's needed and how we're going to strategize within Black society. First of all, gentlemen, have you guys, I know you're not watching the Super Bowl, but did you see the civil rights sambos that they had out at the beginning of the Super Bowl? I didn't see it, but I just saw pictures. Did you guys see that?
I didn't see it either, but I did hear they had some of them parading out there on my broadcast earlier tonight. I was talking about Gladys Knight. So the older generation, the elders, the baby boomers and older, they have just completely checked out. At this point, they got no fight left in them. They have been completely assimilated and incorporated into the establishment and the machine. And let's just say it plainly, these old Negroes are just looking for a peaceful death at this point. They don't want no trouble. They don't want no fight. They're just looking to go out as easily as possible while trying to pretend that they were actually fighting the system on their way out the door to try to keep some semblance of street cred. But it's just going to be a very slow, ugly decline at this point. And that's all.
Absolutely. I saw Andrew Jackson out there. Now, Andrew Jackson, he's been taking shots at Black society for a long time. A lot of people give him a civil rights pass, but I've heard you guys call him out a while ago for a lot of the slick stuff that he's been saying. How long has he been on that?
Maynard Jackson, forget about how long. It's a matter of just how deep. Basically, Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Young. Andrew Young. I'm sorry, my bad. Andrew Young.
Yeah, Andrew Young's been trying to figure out how to make it to the White House ever since the Carter administration, and Israel put him in his place. So that was the end of him. And he's basically been trying to figure out how to get into the walled city ever since. And that's all he's on. That's his problem, and he's not going to change. These civil rights retreads, tonight's just another sad example, just like the funeral for Aretha Franklin. It's just another sad example of all of these old folk lining up to let the young folk know they started off on their knees and they're going to end flat on their bellies. That's all that's going on. Decades and decades of this is what we're facing at this point. We can't even get them to stop. They've made a career of chasing these imaginary rewards. They've made a career of it. And I figure by the time you got into your third or fourth decade, we just need to accept that these guys cannot be counted on. They are married to the game at this point. and nothing's going to get done under them at all, period. Their priority is delivering black people to be controlled by the white-dominated establishment. That's it. They don't want to discuss anything else.
And Jason, you talked about how they cultivate some of their coons and collaborators, especially now. We're seeing a lot of the cultivation of some of these new heads, like the D-Ray McKessons, and who are some of these other people we need to watch out and see who they're cultivating?
Check them out in the media, check them out in politics, whether it's Tariq, whether it is Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, because in politics, while they're in their 40s or late 40s or maybe even 50s, that's relatively, believe it or not, that's actually young in politics. So, as you know, you have to be 35 at least to be president of the United States. So if they're in their 40s, you're considered to be a spring chicken in politics. So you're seeing as they're rolling them out, they're cultivating them. They're letting them know you're going to have the party establishment behind you. You might get a TV show, Van Jones. You might get a movie deal. You know, there's all kinds of things that they're throwing around and talking. You get a professorship, you know, Mark Lamont Hill, and we'll run interference for you unless it's time for us to cash you in which case it'll happen in an afternoon. It won't even take a month to get rid of you. So they've cultivated them, the phony Black Lives Matter activists, Shea Butter Twitter, Black Mammy Twitter, Moist Twitter. They're chasing, by the way, you'll notice this pathology of chasing imaginary things. So you've got Andrew Jackson, Mark Morial, the Morials and their family, chasing this imaginary political power that they never actually got, by the way.
Exactly.
They never actually got it. And then you've got these folks, all these so-called black publications, which are really white-owned publications, chasing literary fame and fortune that's not really there because they're working for free, as you and I have documented now for the past few years. They're working for free, and that's all they've gotten from it. But there's a more important point that needs to be pointed out here, which is the real reason for this gathering tonight. We are the black media. And it's been a long time coming, and there are a lot of people right now shaking in their boots, quaking on the corners of their beds, because up to this point, we never actually declared it. But I wanted to do this tonight because these folks have made it very clear that they are serious about this idea that in the 21st century, they are going to tell black people that everybody else can get something. And as soon as we say, well, what about us? Oh, it wouldn't be right for us to do that for you and for us to accept it. And it was one thing we were on the plantation, tolerating this as a part of chattel slavery. But right now, we've got well-paid mouthpieces like Tom Joyner, I'm saying names, Roland Martin, I'm saying names, if they want us to put them out there. These olders and other folk here who couldn't really get things cracking in a serious way, but they've been co-opted and sold out a long time ago, and their job is to slither back and infiltrate black society, like the axe handle that said to the forest of trees, hey, I'm one of you. Yeah, he's part of the axe, but I'm one of you. And that's what we're up against now. So we wanted to say it. The bottom line is, and I wanted it to be said in a united way, we speak for the streets.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
These other folk don't speak for the streets. Roland don't speak for the streets. Tom don't speak for the streets. All the other folks don't speak for the streets. We represent the streets. We represent the people. When we speak, the people listen. Absolutely. We're not here to entertain them. We're not looking for a job at a movie studio or some token position at the White House. We are the black media because we don't compromise or apologize for speaking in black people's interests. And tonight, we're actually going to define what those interests are.
Absolutely. Now, you brought up Roland Martin in particular. Now, I got on Roland. We all got on Roland this week. Roland got real mad at me because I pointed out he's so in favor of immigration, and anytime black people, descendants of slaves, foundational black people talk about what we should get, he's the main one talking against it. And I pointed out that his family, they immigrated from Haiti. So he got real mad at me for pointing that out. And I talked about how immigration in the last 50 years has not helped us. I put up his tweet on the screen. He said, it's utterly ridiculous to pit African-American brothers against sisters from the African diaspora. If it wasn't for immigration, we wouldn't have Harry Belafonte, Colin Powell, Sidney Poitier, or Eric Holder. So how
that list is all. That list says it all. Eric Holder, who never saw an unarmed black person shot by police that he didn't like. Colin Powell, who said the Republican Party was so racist he couldn't run for president, yet he wouldn't leave the party. Amazing how that works. Harry Belafonte, marriages aside, I guess he's been a stalwart as far as what he said. I will give him credit for that. But I guess this is supposed to be 1 out of 4 ain't bad. I guess that's supposed to be the math that we're utilizing here. Let's be very clear about something. By the way, very interesting. So you mean that Roland was responding to a message from Tariq that he doesn't listen to?
Exactly.
By the way.
Exactly.
That supposedly he don't listen to, by the way. He has no choice but to listen to it because he spends all of his day sucking up the wind behind us now. And now the only thing we're doing tonight is just coming out and saying, by the way, this is what the circumstances really are. You speak to the surrogates and the puppets, and we speak to the people. That's the difference. So if we're talking about what's in black people's interest, there's not going to be any real argument about it. But these people are propped up and set up for the purposes of sowing dissension, of sowing confusion, and of telling us that we need to sit by and watch these things happen. Understand something, and you know this very well, Tariq. Roland just discovered the phrase black agenda this year.
Oh yeah. Now we see him with dashikis and kufis, dressed like the Black Panther. It's like T'Challa to chocolate cake. I mean, I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to, he doesn't listen to us, but he does everything and says everything that we say. You guys called out, what's his name? Bakari. What's Bakari's? Oh, you guys called him out, and you guys were so on the money with him. I didn't realize he was as big as a fraud as he was. He's fraudulent as hell, and then he turns around and uses the same talking points. He's trying to blacken it up a little bit. What's the deal with people like Bakari Sellers?
They are still waiting for a position somewhere.
Yeah.
There are so many Negroes, and you know this, there are not enough token positions to fill for all of the buck dancing Negroes who want one. That made up, imaginary, phony ass slot that Omarosa was given at the White House, minority outreach, correspondent, whatever. Yeah. Brother, don't you know that all these Negroes are lined up to see which one of them can get that slot? All of them. Bakari, the rest of them. This is how Washington treats black people. That you can't even get real power in Washington. You go from having a token position at the state level to jockeying for a token position at the national level. And after that, by the way, I couldn't help but notice that Roland is promoting some lecture group of speakers. You can go pay people to speak. And I couldn't help but notice that him and Monique Presley is one of the people that he's promoting. So this is what's going on, brother. They're all trying to figure out how to get a check. They're all trying to figure out how to get a check. And apparently, since we are not going to give them a check, they're like, hey, I'm going to the highest bidder.
Exactly. Joy Reid, you guys have called out a lot of Joy Reid stuff for a long time. And Joy Reid, a lot of people were pointing out something that she did. She had some people on her show, and they were talking down on American descendants of slaves, trying to make it seem like us talking about black issues specific for us, it's bots, it's Russian bots. They were going at us with that angle, and Joy Reid was kind of co-signing that. What's going on with Joy Reid?
This is the last stop for Joy Reid. MSNBC is it. That they put her on notice with that whole gay tweets thing. It's a matter of we dug into your past, Joy, and if you step wrong, you're going to wind up just like Roly-Poly Martin in that little welfare line or whatever it was. So you got a bunch of Negroes who don't want to have to find a new line of work because there's nothing for them to do. I mean, what's Melissa Harris, Lacewell, Round the World in 80 Days, Perry doing these days? Don't know. So, yeah, Joy Reid's going to prop up the freaking immigrants because she knows what her job is. She is supposed to be the pet Negro who defines the acceptable boundaries of discourse for black folks. And that's the reason why we have to be so aggressive. That's the reason why we got to be on it. We got to go hard body in the paint because our job, as I've been saying for 12 years now, our job is to take control of the social discourse in the black community. And that's what we have successfully done. And that little lineup that Roly-Poly had, that wasn't some panel. That was an SOS. That was an SOS to the white media. You need us. These Negroes out of control. You need us. That's all that was. And before it's all over, Joy reads about one stupid mistake away from joining Roly Poly on his channel that nobody watches.
So now with the Kamala Harris thing, you guys have brought so many receipts on Kamala Harris. If you guys are everybody listening, you need to go subscribe to these brothers' pages. If you want to see receipts on Kamala Harris, Professor Black Truth, I know he's been hitting her for a long time, way before a lot of other people. But they have so many receipts on her record, who she is, what she's really about, and people are just now learning this. Now that her whole campaign is pretty much fizzling out, do you guys think that they're going to put that same type of energy in Cory Booker?
No.
Okay.
And the reason why is because what you're watching is really Lord of the Flies, to be totally honest. They don't know which token Negro to go with. So they're trying to cover both bases. We got some light-skinned Negroes who will not be visually offensive to the greater society at large. They absolutely refuse to acknowledge or identify themselves as Black. They talk in vague, sweeping generalities that show they're no threat to the system. So they're not going to really put a whole lot behind Cory because Kamala is the proven entity in that Kamala has physically put Black people in prison. And she's the one they would prefer. Absolutely. She's the one who has actually swung the sword and beheaded Black people. She is the person, like in the case of Kevin Cooper, has demonstrated that she is willing to inflict injustice on Black people with a smile on her face.
Absolutely.
So if you got to choose between Kamala, I prefer to call her Kamala, the Californian giant, and Cory Booker, if I were a white supremacist, had to choose between the two of them, it's going to be Kamala all day because she's actually proven that she will take bodies. She's actually proven that she can sleep at night even after betraying her people. Brother, I mean, as you know, with Rochambeau in Haiti, these mulatto Negroes, you know, this is the one right here. This Rochambeau, if he's got to choose between Cory and Kamala, he's certainly going to put more of his chips on Kamala. Not that Cory isn't dependable. He's just not proven yet. You're a nice guy, and you're a Black male, and that always makes you dangerous.
Absolutely. Another thing they're doing to sow dissension within Black society, they're really, really, really playing up the LGBT community / Black allyship thing. They've been really upticking that thing very, very heavily. In your opinion, what do you guys think they're trying to do with that?
The problem with Black folks happens to be that we're codependent. We're looking for alliances. That's part of the reason why they always throw that word coalition around. The Democrats are always saying, oh, Barack Obama had a coalition. BS. All Barack Obama had was for a moment, he appealed to young Black people under the age of 40. Because the baby boomer Blacks were not the ones who got him in the White House. It was the under 40s who got him in. And unfortunately, though, we're still looking for friends, either for sexual access or just to get a pat on the head to make up for our own damaged psyches. And that's where the LGBT comes in. I mean, you had, Marlon Wayans. They got him apologizing for jokes that he made. So it's a matter of they're using the gays as a cudgel to bash us over the head with. And too many of us are not fighting back because as far as we're concerned, if maybe the gays, they're fellow minorities. So that's what's happening. It's more political confusion. But fortunately, there are voices out here who are saying, you know what? It's time for Black people to become politically selfish. We got a right to, we have a moral imperative to. We're an unobligated people. So when they try to bring up the Black-Brown alliance, we ain't interested. When they try to bring up, well, what about the LGBTs? We're not the ones who are keeping them from going to whatever bathroom they want. We don't have the power to. So miss me with that nonsense. Whatever you're selling, we ain't buying. That's the message now.
Absolutely.
There's a bigger question here, though. About the old Black media and their apparatchiks and operatives, I've got a question for everybody. How many battles have they won? Before I'm going to give any respect to any of them, I first and foremost got to look at you and ask, how many battles have you won? How many city councils have you helped to overturn? How many white supremacists have you helped to get into prison? Everybody on this phone right now has done that. Show me where these other folk have. Roland Martin would not get off of his wearing that big red sweater looking like a Kool-Aid jug, but he wouldn't bounce his big ass up to Baltimore to go and monitor the uprising in Baltimore. Tariq Nasheed flies across the damn country to go to Ferguson. But Roland couldn't make it an hour and a half, although after hearing his car in that video, maybe the reason he has been doing it is because he's afraid he wasn't going to make it. So maybe he needs to have a little mercy on him. He's like, y'all don't understand. This 83 Escort ain't really built for long distances. So maybe that's the point. But before you can say that, I went to Charlottesville a bunch of times. I covered Unite the Right too while Roland was sitting at Chipotle. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what are the battles these individuals have won? What are the battles Tom Joyner has won? What are the battles Joy Reid has won? What are the battles Melissa Harris Perry has won? What are the battles that Jamila Lemieux and Shea Butter Twitter have won? What are the battles they've won? I hear their complaints and their wife. I don't see the battles that they've won.
Roland said he Bidit worked at Black Enterprise. Bidit was the first editor at such and such magazine. Bidit, he was the first person at such and such corporate. So those are Roland's battles he brags about all the time.
So you mean gainful employment is the battle that he's won? No wonder he's eternally chasing a job. Gainful employment is the battle that he's won. Now, if you want to have a comparison about battles won, they've been attacking us because we won the last two battles. Mm-hmm. And they directly blamed us.
Yes, indeed.
You all told people not to show up for Hillary Clinton. You're damn right. Hillary 3-strike super predators Clinton. You're damn right. We sure did. And you saw what happened. And now last year, well, we sure was just a fluke. We said, don't show up again. Now they had to call us out by name. Though, you want to know what battles one looks like? That's what winning a battle looks like. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're coming after us. So, like I say, before they can sit up here and ask us to look to them for leadership, first you got to show me some battles you've won against the white supremacist powers. So far, gainful employment and chasing coalitions that don't exist, that's really the only thing you've got. That's not a strategy. I wouldn't even call it a tactic. That's just a character flaw.
Yeah, and these guys, man, what's interesting, they pick and choose when they're going to try to act like they're grassroots. That's the funny thing to me. Like when Roland, when he lost the job over at TV1 and he's trying to get his internet presence up. He started wearing the hoodies and putting up the black fist and had the Skittles, but the bag was empty because he ate the damn candy. So he's trying to pretend that he's some kind of grassroots person when it fits. But the minute somebody white comes in the room, all of a sudden the tap shoes are getting shined back up. So these guys keep showing us who they are. And this is why people are looking to us, because we've been consistent with our message all the way through.
And also because our people can't take the oppression anymore.
Absolutely.
They're looking for answers. They're not looking for entertainers pretending to be thinkers. They actually want real answers. And let's just be very honest. Black folk know the truth when they hear it, and they also know lies. What white society has perfected is the ability of getting black people to be comfortable with people lying to them.
Exactly.
And telling you that you need to go along to get along. And the problem that we have faced, as I pointed out in last night's broadcast, is that unlike these other groups of people, we've got folk inside black society who will go around to other black people and attempt to proselytize that our oppressed condition is where we need to be, and we just need to wait for the times to get better. That we need to accept settling for whatever crumbs are flicked off the table. Gays don't have that.
Exactly.
You never saw a group of gays or a gay organization tell its members that, well, if we deal with police brutality against blacks, that indirectly helps us as gays. You never heard that. You've never heard illegals be told, well, if we deal with black socioeconomic poverty, that'll trickle down and that will also disproportionately help Latinos and illegal aliens. You've never heard them say that. But in black society, they have cultivated a traitor class, particularly in the media, that will go out and tell us those kind of things. Tell us that we shouldn't ask for anything. Tell us that we're all Americans. Tell us that we can't expect politicians to specifically do things for us. And that is the height of treason to say that. So all of these people who are scrambling because they've been mobilized by their white masters
Absolutely.
in the Democrats and the Republicans and the media, they've been mobilized. It's all hands on deck. It's full-blown panic, because if Black people start actually standing by this, standing by our demands, at this point, we will no longer ask for power, as Dr. John Henry Clark told us. We will take it.
Exactly.
Which is what we're doing now. We're not asking for it. We are taking it.
Professor Blackshear, you want to add to that, brother?
We need to become much more politically aggressive. As a case study, and I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I got to say it. When the United States went into Iraq, one of the big problems that they had was a guy named Muqtada al-Sadr. And it was amazing to the U.S. that this guy was setting off car bombs, snipering Marines. He was killing folk left, right, and center. He was killing American forces. They couldn't understand why, because Saddam Hussein had killed Muqtada al-Sadr's father. And the reason he was raising all that hell was he wanted a seat at the table. He saw the U.S. setting up a puppet regime. As far as he was concerned, I'm not going to be left out in the cold, so I'm just going to raise pure hell until I get a seat at the table. It was done on his terms. They had to come to terms with the man. Now, I'm not saying that Black folks ought to be setting off truck bombs and ought to be sniping people. What I am saying is it's time for us to do a total reset. And the way we do a total reset is, first of all, we got to make sure we got some bargaining chips. We have got to give them something that we can take away. And the main thing we can take away is Black people. You can have a situation where fully 1 out of 7 Americans do not recognize the legitimacy of the elections, which means we don't recognize the legitimacy of the political leaders. That's a political crisis that the country's in. That's the reason why they can afford to give you the right to vote, because what you're doing is you are giving them assurance that I am still invested in your system. It ain't done a damn thing for me. And you've announced that, but I'm still going to keep on trying. When you say, you know what, I'm going to stay politically aware, but we're withdrawing from this. We're going to start pursuing other options. That's dangerous.
Absolutely.
Because
Go ahead, brother.
The last time that people decided they were going to withdraw from the process, America had a civil war. And the time before that, when people withdrew from the process, you had the American Revolution. So make no mistake, when you got 1 out of 7 Americans who are saying we're looking for solutions outside of the ballot box, well, that usually doesn't have a very happy ending.
You know, also beyond that, remember, these are the same Negroes, if they want to bring up the civil rights fossils, leaders, they were talking about civil disobedience. By us saying that we are not going to vote until a candidate agrees to the Black agenda, that's civil disobedience. All of a sudden, when we start promoting our own brand of civil disobedience, we're told, no, you can't do that. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, we start talking and criticizing, heavily criticizing the Republicans and the Democrats, and all of a sudden, the Democrats are attacking us harder than the Republicans ever attacked us. So that just shows they're two sides of the same coin.
But they also want to see if we're going to break.
Exactly.
Because what they're checking to see now, what they've done with us, particularly the three of us in the last few weeks, is they're checking to, at this point, they tried quarantine, where they ignore you.
Yeah.
That clearly hasn't worked in the last 2 election cycles. It backfired horrendously. So they sent the word out, quarantine won't work. We're going to have to directly inoculate and engage them, which is what they're doing now. Here comes the problem. The problem is we ain't a bunch of puppet niggas. We're not a bunch of people trying to figure out what the problem is. And we're telling you what needs to be done. And what they're trying to do is shame us into not asking for it. Because that's what they've always done, is say that you're wrong for even wanting anything.
Exactly.
They're trying to shame us and say, you need to come vote. You need to come work. You need to come keep us in power, but you don't have to work. You don't have to ask for, you don't have the right to ask or expect anything while everybody else gets something. This is just slavery all over again.
Exactly. There's this one woman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They've been really promoting her very heavily. She won some kind of seat out there in New York, as you guys know. On Martin Luther King's birthday, she was at some church with Ta-Nehisi Coates. I think that's how you pronounce that guy's name. And they started talking about reparations. And I want to play what she said. Hold on.
Reparations for slavery. But really, economically speaking, reparations are for the damage done by the New Deal and redlining. Because that is where we saw a compounding of the existing inequity from the legacy of slavery, where we drew red lines around black communities and we said white communities will get home loans and they'll get access to the basic bedrock of wealth in America. And this is the thing that you will be able, this will be your heirloom. And we gave white America an heirloom that appreciated over time, that people still benefit from today, and we did not give that to African American, Mexican communities, Puerto Rican communities. And
all right, did you guys catch that?
She slept at the end there. She's gonna slide in everybody else. We're talking about slavery, which only affected black people, and then say that the remedy needs to be spread around to everybody else. So we are the aggrieved party. We are the affected party. And yet she's going to use that as a vehicle to help people who were not affected. And not only were they not affected, when we talk about slavery, several of the groups she named were the ones who were complicit in doing it.
Absolutely.
And it's always the same old grandfather clause. Everybody's trying to grandfather clause themselves into whatever black people are supposed to have. Affirmative action. Well, we're going to grandfather clause white women in. How? White women raised all these white men. They've been benefiting. They're the wives and the daughters and the mothers of all these racist white men. Well, they didn't have the right to vote. Well, whose fault was that? And then when it comes time to talk about reparations, Cortez is like, I'm all in favor of it so long as the Mexicans are in there. She named 3 groups: African Americans, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans. Gee, out of the 3 groups, 2 of them are Hispanic. So what does that tell you about her thought process? If black people are going to get something, well, Hispanics should get most of it. This is your black-brown alliance, folks. This is your black-brown alliance.
Absolutely. And I try to tell people about immigration. How has immigration in the last 50 years helped black Americans at all? How has it helped us?
It's helped reduce us to a below slave labor class. It's helped us do that. It's helped us into the poorhouse permanently. It's helped us into that. Dr. Claude Anderson said it decades ago, and he was right. They brought in all of these non-black immigrants, legally or otherwise, for the purposes of supplanting us as the country's labor force. That you were never going to truly integrate us. You certainly didn't want to, because you take a threat with us. Even if we as black people don't see it this way, you've got to understand and see yourself through white society's eyes. White society is terrified of the idea of empowering black people. Empowering Asians does not frighten them. Empowering Mexicans and Arabs does not frighten them. Empowering black people frightens them for one fundamental reason. It is not genetic annihilation. It is because they are deathly afraid that if we are empowered, then it's going to be payback time. As far as they are concerned, in the back of their minds, black people want power so we can take vengeance because they know that we deserve it. Now, let's just be very clear about where the fear emanates from. The fear emanates from the idea that you know that we have been dealt with unjustly and still are. And if anybody is deserving of retribution, it's us. So the idea of empowering us terrifies them. It terrifies them to their core. So if you're moist, if you're weak, if you're lame, if you got daddy issues, if you hate your father, if you hate black men, if you hate black women, if you don't care what the black family looks like, if you're more concerned about shoes than survival, if you're more concerned about sexual access than life itself, you are a harmless Negro. And they're not worried about you. When you start talking like us, this is dangerous. Absolutely. Because they're talking about empowering themselves. Well, if you get power, you'd have the ability to harm us. Well, it doesn't matter in their minds whether we even have the desire. All they're concerned about is, but you would have the ability. And we got to safeguard ourselves. So they brought in these other groups, as you know, where they come from. They have white supremacist cultures and tendencies already. Remember, Spanish is an European culture, not an African one. So when you hear somebody speaking Spanish, that's part of a European culture, not an African one. And even though many of us here speak English, the problem that they have with that is we're not assimilating. We're trying to go back to our African roots, whereas these other people who come from European cultures, they're already at their destination. Miss Cortez, she's already there. So she's not going to move. She just wants to get a bigger piece of the white supremacist pie. I don't want a bigger slice of the white supremacist pie. I don't. I want to take over the damn oven and the cabinet with the flour and the sugar and the refrigerator with the eggs. I want that. You keep your pie. I want to have the means to make my own.
Professor Black Truth, because I've heard you speak about that fake black-brown coalition. When did that black-brown coalition thing get started, Professor Black Truth?
Well, tragically, it didn't start in the United States. I say tragically because if it had started in the United States, perhaps we might have had something of a chance to head it off. But the Black-Brown Alliance basically got its origins with these coolies. We're starting in almost exclusively in Hispaniola. You basically had all of these Europeans who had got some black folks and telling them, your problem, the reason we're discriminating against you isn't because of your color. It happens to be because of your class. Well, it happens to be because of social factors, and that mixed people's heads up. And next thing you know, you got some of these people who started coming to the United States. Many of them were responsible. Arthur Schomburg, one of our grandest master teachers, even Dr. Ben, his mother was Puerto Rican herself. So it's not. I'm not spitting on our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters. But what I'm saying is they had a different conception of that kind of thing. And unfortunately, black people in the United States, we had our own little issues with color. So what happened was when we couldn't get your hands on a white woman, well, let's take the next best thing. And that problem has just spiraled and spiraled ever since. Confusion from outside the United States and desperation for some sort of pat on the head inside the United States, which has culminated in let's have a coalition. Well, as Dr. Clark said, you can't have an alliance unless you got the means to punish those who break the alliance. And black folks got to have some political maturity. There ain't a damn thing that's going on in somebody's bed that's supposed to mean more than your power. It's as simple as that. That is a different way for black folks to think, but it's the right way to think. It's the way that a person who wants to survive thinks. It's a person who's concerned about things that have no meaning to us right now, like legacy, things like some sort of future for your children, integrity, looking at the person beside you and saying, I'm fine with this man because he comes from common roots as me, as opposed to, well, maybe the grass is greener over there with those other people. There is no future for black people who've decided that they're going to invest in a black-brown alliance. Ocasio-Cortez, she's a freaking millennial. And listen to how she talks. She talks just like that Representative Gutierrez from New York or whatever. She talks just like all of these other Hispanics in the past who every time you bring up anything regarding black people, it's all about, well, don't forget about Cesar Chavez. Or don't forget about this, that, and the other person. They always got to find a way to shoehorn themselves into any discussion involving us. We need to wake up to the con, folks. Your Black-Brown Alliance was a mirage. It was a delusion. It was a fever dream. And it's time for you to wake up.
Well, the other thing is when they get together in their groups, they don't interject us. They don't say, hey, what about Tariq Nasheed when they get together in Latino groups? They don't say that. But in the modern era, this obsession with the Black-Brown coalition is born of weakness. Black people, in a desperate attempt to force politics to achieve our goals without an economy. Now, the only way you win in politics, ostensibly, is with numbers. So since you're only 13% of the population, the numbers don't work for you. But if you can somehow convince other groups to vote with you, then you can make politics work. And we've been trying to make politics work without the underlying economics. That's what's led us in the modern era to this obsession with the Black-Brown coalition, the desperate idea that we can forge a political dynasty without first building the economic foundation.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to do it. We're trying to sex our way to a coalition. We're trying to badger our way to a coalition. We're trying to culture vulture our way to a coalition, and it doesn't work that way.
We're here with Professor Black Truth and the Black Authority, for those who are just tuning in, talking about issues that affect foundational Black Americans. Brothers, one thing, as we talk about the issues that affect Native Black Americans, I notice there's a lot of talk about a rift between Black Americans and Black people from the diaspora, Black people from the Caribbean. What do you think about the relationship and the criticism on both sides that some of the Black immigrants have in us? There was a video that's circulating of a Black woman on a bus, on a train, having an argument with an African woman, and a lot of African immigrants are circulating this around, talking about how they've been mistreated by Black Americans, and we're pointing the finger at them. What do you think about the, I would say, Pan-Africanism that we've been trying to cultivate?
White supremacy has successfully sown seeds of dysfunction. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. It's how the Belgians were able to drive division between the Hutus and the Tutsi. But the problem is we've also got some homegrown problems of our own. All the tribalism, where you got the different tribes, different ethnic groups trying to magnify themselves against one another. Right. So this kind of dysfunction is obviously going to happen when you got brothers from Africa around brothers from the United States. What's going to happen is you're going to be having the same old tribalism or some of that store-bought white supremacist dysfunction that they sowed among us. We have to be honest about some of that stuff, because even if the white supremacists hadn't been there, we had some of these issues that we came by honestly. Yeah. So what's the solution going to be? First solution has to be Black folks have to learn how to get along with each other at the local level. We need to withdraw from each other simply for the fact that right now we're too toxic to each other. It wouldn't work because we haven't, as Malcolm put it, we haven't learned how to be acceptable to one another. So until we get that straight, all the talk about trying to make an African-American alliance, we can try to put it together as tripping over our own shoelaces. I guess we kind of have to, but we need to understand that the rancor that's going on between Africans from Africa and Africans here in the United States, that is, in fact, part white supremacy, but part of the fact that we didn't deal with our issues. That's how we laid ourselves open for the Europeans to come in and just take stuff. Because when it came time for my brother and I to unite against a stranger, we didn't do it. And we need to be honest about that. We didn't do it. That's what you had with the freaking Moors, who apparently thought that religion with the Arabs was more important than the bonds of color, kin, and genes. Absolutely. So that dysfunction is the reason why it's going on. And I don't know how it is that you're going to have somebody who comes from Nigeria, who with a clear conscience can spit on the brothers here in the United States who got him in the first place. I suppose part of it is probably jealousy. There's a little bit of that going on. We need to be honest about that too. I mean, let's be honest. If you ask, what is the face of Black people to the world? It's African Americans. You ask who the most prominent Black people are that people think of, they're going to be talking about Jay-Z. They're going to be talking about Michael Jackson. They're going to be talking about Michael Jordan. But who they're not going to be talking about is whoever the big man on campus is in Chad. They're not going to be talking about him. About the only African of note that most people can talk about is Nelson Mandela, and he's dead. So unfortunately, I think you got a little bit of jealousy that comes into play. Again, this is a matter of Black folks who have perfected the art of being far more civil towards strangers, even oppressors, than we are towards one another. And we got to be honest about that. I'm very sorry if there's some Black folks who have gotten an inferiority complex because they feel like, well, you African Americans, you guys really aren't that great to begin with. It's like somebody who comes from a poor country who then immigrates to a second world country. And instead of them basically feeling like, let me become part of this group or let me make my peace with the fact that home wasn't so great, instead they try to find ways to spit on their new place to make themselves feel better about the fact that home wasn't so good.
Now, that dovetails with what Neely Fuller has always said, that Black people should not get together in a group without an agenda. Yeah. And first and foremost, we are going to have to accept that we are not going to be able to forge connections as Africans in America or Africans in Africa unless somebody takes the lead on it in the interest of Black people. Power does not respect weakness. Power respects power. And guess what? Africans in Africa are not going to respect Africans in America unless we exercise power. When they're not going to accept it. Because they're watching white people and Russians and Asians come on the African soil and exert power. That gives them something to gauge it by. But they don't see us doing the same thing. So tonight, I'm glad you did talk about that because that comes to the crux of what we all want to talk about here tonight. What is the Black agenda?
Yes.
What is it? Because Roland and crew don't know. Joy Reid can't even spell it. The rest of these people are not interested in it. What is the Black agenda? And since these other people don't know, let me go ahead and spell it out for you so we can be clear about it.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about reparations. That's another way of saying, number one, Black people have been socioeconomically deprived and devastated. This country took resources from Black people in the form of physical labor. And even when we did acquire land of our own, they violently took that from us.
Mm-hmm.
So they have taken resources from us and spread it amongst themselves. So first and foremost, that needs to be corrected, because when you go to a court of law and sue somebody, you sue to be, quote, made whole.
Mm-hmm.
So to the extent that we have been robbed, that needs to be brought back to us in restitution.
Absolutely.
And there are many ways in which you can do that, but we first have to agree as a people that that is what we're due.
Absolutely.
And that that's a problem. And until we solve our socioeconomic problem, nothing else is going to get fixed. Now, however you want to define it, anybody who tells you that the problem is education, the problem is healthcare, the problem is psychology, the problem is religion. These are people running from the issue. You can't do anything with any of those issues if you don't have any resources. You're just a beggar hoping for charity. Problem number two, state-sanctioned violence against Black people. If I, as a Black person, harm or shoot another Black person, I'm going to jail. I'm going to be punished. Nobody is going to say, well, we'll get at a pass. There isn't going to be a jury that's going to let me off the hook. And there's not going to be a prosecutor who's going to say, well, you know, we need to see more evidence. But yet, as a Black person, if a white person, and if you're a Black person who kills a white person, you don't even have to commit a crime. There are plenty of Black folk who are in jail who didn't commit a crime against a white person. You were just accused on eyewitness testimony alone, and you got to wait for the Innocence Project 30 years later to fight through the courts to get DNA evidence to get you out of prison. An accusation by a white person can put you in prison for the rest of your life. An accusation by a Black person will not put a white person in prison for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
That won't happen. So state-sanctioned violence against Black people. After all, what good is education if you meet Officer Michael Slager?
Exactly.
What good is health care if you meet Officer Geronimo Yanez? What good is politics if you meet Officer Betty Shelby? We need to get our damn priorities in order. And the HBCUs should have been teaching this all this time, but they haven't. So if you want to define the Black agenda, and most of you have never heard this tonight, we've all been preaching about this for years. Dr. Claude Anderson has been preaching about it for decades. It first and foremost begins with a socioeconomic agenda of restitution, however you want to define it. It begins with the socioeconomic, and number two, it begins with stopping state-sanctioned physical violence against us. Those are the two things, and you have never, ever heard any Black politician or white politician in the modern era address those two specific things.
Absolutely. We should definitely have something almost like the Native Americans have. They have certain sanctuary or sovereign towns and cities and areas where other people can't come in and police those areas. We need the same thing for our people within our community. That's exactly what we need. Another thing,
I'd go even beyond that.
Go ahead.
I would go beyond that and say that we need to have this is what Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, and it's true. We do need to have a nationally recognized sovereignty where Jewish people are concerned, and all of you on the phone know this. If you've been through any of the Hasidic areas in New York City, basically you won't see police out there. Mm-hmm. You don't see them there.
Brother, there was a video of a Black officer in one of those Jewish areas in New York. They ran him out of there. This was a few weeks ago. All my New York people, y'all know them, they ran the cop out of there.
Oh, yes. Over there in Brooklyn, off of Ocean Avenue, and there's a number of different places. I won't run down the list. Yeah. But those of you in Brooklyn, you know over there off of Ocean where they got the letter streets and the number streets, those are all Hasidic neighborhoods. You can see them at 2 and 3 in the morning walking down the street with their black hats and their hair braided and whatnot, and the women pushing the strollers. and whatnot for blocks and blocks. And I don't have a problem with that. That's what they're supposed to do. They have been a people who were oppressed. They were a people who got rounded up, at least 6 million of them for extermination. But guess what? We had 100 million of us rounded up. And I think that we should be even more concerned. We should have even more of that. So first and foremost, it needs to be recognized. And it starts with us. We have to recognize and accept that we are, as Dr. Clarence said, an exceptional people. We are separate. We are an exceptional and separate case from everybody else. No, you are not. We are not minorities like you. We are totally different from you. Like the Native Americans are totally different from everyone else. We're totally different. The Native Americans were not immigrants, and neither were we.
Exactly.
So we need to have that recognized formally. And then there are the new rules that go into effect. You can't go onto a Native American reservation and inflict the law there. As Black people, you need to have some sort of extra credentials before you can even encounter us. And if any act of violence takes place against us, it should be treated as an international incident on American soil. I'm talking about taking it to that type of degree, at least judicially. Absolutely. That we recognize that the onus is on anybody. If you harm them, they're unarmed and they've been harmed, we're going to check you out at every level. You know the way they do police? If you harm a police officer, they're kicking in your front door and taking your computers and your laptops and stuff. That's what needs to be done for us. The reason it doesn't happen, however, is because you got a bunch of Black folk who say, nah, they start getting scared. Exactly. They start getting nervous when we talk like this, because that little white supremacist who sits on every Black person's shoulder is telling them, now, you know they wouldn't be happy. Who gives a damn if they're not happy? This is what we're doing. This is why Jewish people can talk about a state of Israel, and Black people don't even want to say Black city. Power is not asked for or requested. It damn sure isn't begged. It is taken. And first of all, we got to start with our identity, that we're not asking to be recognized by the government. We recognize ourselves first, and the government, the society, and everybody else here is going to follow it, whether they wish to or not.
Professor Blacktooth, you want to add to that, brother?
I think Jason said it all.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So with the Democrats coming up with all the stuff they're coming up with, and this is another thing too, we got to watch these little side movements that's orchestrated by the white supremacists that they put a black face on, because that distracts us too. One thing I see that they're trying to do, when we try to organize as Black men and Black women, they come through with their riffs. They did it in the 60s. They're doing it with the Me Too movement. Because what we're talking about is, we're talking about getting tangibles, but we got to be very cognizant of these outside entities trying to get us away from each other. I've noticed that with the Democrats and some of these other politicians, they've been trying to get Black women and kind of say, okay, look, we got a little sister girl alliance over here. Those Hotep Black men, you don't want to be a part of that. Get with Kamala, get down with Hillary. Me Too, we're going to get power for going after these men. So do you think a lot of people in our community are falling for that?
At first blush, I would say no. And what we've done has been a shock to the system. One, because they didn't expect it. Two, because it was a lot more pervasive and effective than they thought it was going to be. What they're doing is exactly what I and you and Jason had predicted was going to happen. They were going to start screaming sexism, because this is the only play that they really got left. They have tried everything to try to deceive us, and what they landed on that actually worked in the 60s was, let's play on the whole female power angle. And that's where all this intersectionality stuff becomes genocidal. As Black people, we can't afford any distractions. But yeah, the whole thing with these Black men are misogynistic. They're pushing the button. They're trying to figure out, hey, are there any more Angela Davises out there who'll talk Black power but turn feminist first chance that they get? So far, it doesn't seem to be bearing fruit at all. And this is going to lead them to have to do something else. Now, what's right around the corner, if I had to guess, before it's all over, I would not at all be surprised if law enforcement starts getting brought in against the new voices of Black media. Right. I wouldn't be surprised. And the reason why is, when Black people are listening to something like this and the old tricks don't work, the deceptions and the deceiving and the distractions and disinformation don't work, then it's time, since the propaganda arm of white supremacy has failed, it's time to turn to the enforcement arm. and figure out what is there to be done. Now, so far, they don't have anything on any of us. But this is a matter of under white supremacy, they got total fiat. Yeah. They have the ability to say, well, we've heard rumors. Rumors have been said. And when it comes time for them to start the idea of, like with Bill Cosby, there's been rumors about these guys. It's going to be a whole bunch of white folk out there, the main ones pushing the rumors, and they're going to have a couple of front black women out there with them saying, yeah, that's right. They like this. They like that. Oh, they just the worst things ever. So we need to be prepared for that. That's the answer to dealing with white supremacy's assault. It's not a matter of count on them not attacking. It's a matter of be prepared, be aware, and have means to counter it. And that's the reason why we're taking the case to the people. We want the people to know about this so that when they try these little tricks, when they inevitably decide that they just can't beat us, hand to hand. So it's a matter of, let's see if we can beat them with a pen instead.
Absolutely.
Well, Black society, unfortunately, is the only place where you can buy people off without money. You don't actually need money to buy them off and get them to do your bidding. They'll sit there on Twitter all day and not get a dime. So that makes it particularly dangerous and pernicious when you've got a group of self-styled traitors who will go to work against their own people, and you don't even have to pay them for it. But what people understand is the Olivia Pope era is drawing to an end. The truth of the matter is they've pretty much marched out all the puppets that they really can, and you're going to have some sycophants. Of course, you're going to have that. But at this point right now, brother, they wouldn't be in panic mode if everything was in hand. They'd be in panic mode right now. Howard Dean wouldn't be on your timeline. Bakari Sellers and Monique Presley wouldn't be on mine if everything was copacetic.
Exactly.
They wouldn't be sitting up here with these dog whistles against black males if everything was all right.
Jason, Jason, did somebody from New York Magazine contact you?
Not that I'm aware of. They may have tried to.
Yeah, it's the New Yorker magazine. They've been hitting me up. They've been talking about they want to do some kind of story about you and me. They want to do a story about you and me talking about the success of the movies that we've made. And they've been really, really hitting me up like crazy. And I've been, I'm real weary about mainstream media, but they've been asking about you. They've been hitting me up. It's real weird. I'm surprised you haven't talked to them because they've hit me up a couple of times. So
I guess they think I'm you, which is really weird. They're probably going to think that I'm on the phone right now pretending to be all of you, or maybe you're pretending to be all three of us or whatever. So that happens. But no, brother, they have not contacted me. My email is on the website. So if they had contacted me, I would have gotten an email.
Okay.
So no, it's a little game they play. But look, we dropped tens of thousands of dollars in advertising in New York City for race war. My last documentary, we dropped a bunch of money. They didn't contact me then. They've had since the summer of last year to contact me, and they didn't do it. So this is a part of that quarantine. They were checking to see if we were with her on the vine, and that didn't happen. The real problem that they have is that we are a group of people who can't be bought off because we didn't get our money from them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that scares them.
Exactly.
So to the New Yorker magazine, you've had 7 months to contact me. They know how to reach me. They don't have to go through Tariq. If they want to talk to me, they got my email address.
Man, so look, the politicians, they're going to be campaigning at us hard. What are some of the tangibles that we need to require of them? For me personally, I would like for us to talk about land allocation. Also, I would like for we need to talk about some of those Indian treaties that's already in law. They've just not been enforced. Dr. Claude Anderson has been going back and forth to court about the treaties, like the Treaty of 1866, how some of these Native American tribes owe black freedmen and their descendants some of the resources and some of the land. That's something that I think we should bring to the politicians. Also, funds and resources allocated towards black business development. Those are things that I think we should bring to the politicians. What are some other suggestions that you brothers think that we should bring to them for tangibles?
If I had my druthers, I would duplicate exactly what happened for those white boys who came back from World War II in the 1940s. If you're a white male who came back from the war, the U.S. government made sure that you had the GI Bill, you had free education. They made sure that you had a housing grant, not a housing loan. They made sure you had a housing grant. A lot of those bungalows out in California paid for by the U.S. government with housing grants. And they also made sure the Small Business Administration gave you a business grant, not a loan. So if you were a white boy coming back from World War II, you got a free education, free home, free business to start your business with. You got the skills that you needed, and you got the capital with which to start it. Look at how much time and effort gets freed up when you don't have to be taking your time to pay for education. You don't have to shovel all your money into a home. You don't have to try to squirrel away pennies for months and months and years on end to try to get a business off the ground. Look at how much time and effort and capital gets freed up when you got the government deciding to invent a middle class out of whole cloth. So as far as I'm concerned, that would be a good place to start.
Absolutely.
I like the land allocation idea is a very good one. Dr. Claude Anderson enforcing the Indian treaties is also a good one. The only problem I would have is we have a Supreme Court that every time we go to talk about the Constitution, they tell us it doesn't apply to us. And so that'd be my concern. And as far as suing them about it and taking them to court about it, as long as we don't have Attorney Benjamin Crump or Monique Presley showing up, maybe we got a chance. But other than that, it depends on how it goes. If I had my ideas about it, we would have a TARP fund for Black people in America. For Black people who are descendants of slaves, we would have a TARP fund for us. They had a TARP program in the modern era where they spent literally trillions of dollars to bail out the banks and then turned around and told Black folk, ain't no money for you. They spent trillions of dollars for wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria, and then tell Black folk, but no, we can't afford to do it for you. We're going to afford it for everything else except you. So first and foremost, you had the government get together and say, what do the banks need in order to be financially solidified? And they got that figured out in a matter of weeks. It didn't take years and decades of think tanks and careful studies and commissions and committees and policy papers. They were able to figure out and determine what they need to do to get the bank straight in a matter of weeks. You can do the same thing for Black people. When Professor Chu talks about the GI Bill, of the Marshall Plan in Japan, the bottom line is that's the kind of thing that we need in America as Black people, and we need a politician who will say that. And if not one who's going to get cold feet and talk about, well, if you do it for Black folks, why can't you do it for everybody? Because the rest of you were never slaves, and the rest of you are not subject to institutional racism, and the rest of you are not subject to mass incarceration. The rest of you have not been targeted in the past and in the present by the government. The rest of you are not targeted. We are. That's the reason why. When they start targeting you, we'll talk to you. But that would be a place where I would want to start with that. The next thing is there would need to be a Black amnesty out there in Los Angeles, near where you live. Illegals can't be taken out of their cars anymore for driving illegally or not having insurance. They can't impound the cars. So you as a Black person, if you don't have insurance, they'll impound your car. But the illegals, they won't impound theirs because it's a hardship. He's not even supposed to be in the country, and yet he's got more rights than you do.
Absolutely.
That's insanity. So don't sit up here and tell me you can do that for non-citizens. But when I say, you know what, I'll get a piece of that action, you then tell me, oh, no, you're asking too much. Everybody will never go along with it. So non-citizens can get it without question. But if I'm a Black person, I say, okay, I want the same thing. Oh, no, nobody will go along with it. You better get the hell out of here. You're going to go along with it.
Absolutely.
So the socioeconomic component, and think of it as a TARP program for Black Americans who are the children of slaves, and a amnesty program where you have to have real evidence, and it can't go in front of a judge because, as we see in the case of Governor Northam in Virginia, you cannot trust the politicians. The Klan took off the robes and put on the suits. You can't trust the judges. You can't trust the politicians. You can't trust the prosecutors. We would have to have some alternate body elected by black people if we're going to be judged by that, because we can't trust this system
Absolutely.
to do that.
Absolutely. Brothers, man, great conversation, family. Professor Black Truth, where can people find you, brother?
They can find me on my YouTube channel. And I want to thank you for chopping it up with us, because this is one of the most important, crucial moments that we have going right now. We stand at a tipping point. We stand at a point where we are about to break with the old order and start anew. For those of you who are not familiar with my YouTube channel, it's Prof Black HQ. That's Prof Black HQ. Also, you can find me on Twitter, Prof Black Truth. I post on Sundays and Thursday evenings.
And my man, Jason Black, where can we find you, brother?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at The Black Authority. You can also find me near a white supremacist near you, giving them hell, or a black coon somewhere around you, giving them everything they're supposed to get is what they're supposed to have. And I want to thank you for allowing us to be able to put this together tonight. A lot of people have been calling for this for a while. There's a couple of people I wish I could have gotten them involved in this as well. Yeah. But this is a historic watershed moment. People are going to remember this as the moment when the tide turned, where the old black media was officially put in its coffin, where the political parties have to rethink and recalculate everything about who they talk to and how they talk to us, where candidates are going to have to realize talking to the old reliable Negroes ain't going to get the job done. Mm-hmm. You come through, the path to the White House runs through the black street or it goes nowhere. Absolutely. We are the black media.
My man.
It's also a point for us to break with the old dysfunctions of codependency and let some of these other groups know that the days of swinging on the coattails of our suffering are over. The days of you coasting to easy street on the path that we made and the bricks that we laid are over.
Absolutely. That's another major point. All that immigration thing, all these LBGT organizations, all these people riding our backs, that's over with. That's done. We cannot do that no more. It has not helped us. It has only hindered us. And that's something that we're going to stop today. We're not doing that again because it has never, ever, ever been reciprocal. And I wish our people really understand that.
That's the reason for the new black media, the real black media. That's the reason for us.
I'm afraid to say this. You understand, 10 years ago, this conversation was not happening in black society. Mm-hmm. 10 years ago, these discussions we had tonight were simply not happening. Today, they can't even get to the White House because they're not having this discussion. You better believe they're panicking. Absolutely. Things have changed.
Absolutely. Man, thank you guys so much, fellas. Thank you. I really appreciate you. We're going to have to do this again. This is not the last time. We're going to get together and do it again, guys.
Black first, brother. Thank you for having us.
Much respect.
Black first.
All right. Man. Woo. Man. Boy, that was some good-ass talk right there. Woo. Man. See, that's grown-ass man talk right there. That's how that's how we all need to be rocking, just like that. You understand? All these other folks are going to have to hold their own nuts. Y'all going to have to stop holding everybody's nuts for them, family. This is how we supposed to be right here. We get together. We're talking about what's in the best interest of you and all of us. Notice it ain't no, we all got to get together and love each other. We ain't nobody bucking their eyes. Fuck all that, man. This is power time. It's getting on code and talking about building up some power. Notice it wasn't all that old mumble mouth. We got to get a seat at the table. None of that. None of that vague BS right there. We're talking power. We're talking empowerment. Great conversation, family. See, that's the conversation you're not going to hear from Roland and the Boulay crew. You're not going to hear it from the Cory Booker and the Tom Joyner crew. You're not going to hear that type of talk. Because, see, the thing is, a lot of times when it comes to us talking about empowering each other, we don't want to offend white people. That's our problem. And let's be real. A lot of black folks, when it comes to empowering other black people and us as a group, our concern, well, damn it, is the white folks going to be pissed off? I just don't want to make them mad now. You know, we trying to see if we don't want to mess up the butter biscuits. Dr. John Henry Clark told us we have no friends. You have to look to the left and look to the right and look at that black person next to you. You have to look at that black, that's comedian Godfrey texted me. Shout out to Godfrey. He's funny as hell. He's clowning about Terry Crews. But you got to look at that black person next to you and understand that's the only friend you got. That is the only friend we got. This is why we got the Tangibles 2020. We ain't talking vague no more. We ain't talking, where my hug. We're not talking black-brown coalition, let's get our swirl on. We're not talking that. We're talking about tangibles for foundational black Americans. We're going to have to surround our tribe because that's what we are. We got our own tribe and we're going to have to empower our tribe. See, we've been spreading ourselves too thin. It's Tangibles 2020 or nothing. Y'all hit that button, click that link, Tangibles 2020, to see our mission statement and contribute to the Tangibles 2020 movement. Because this is putting a lot of folks on notice. They're not used to us being on code like this. And shout out to my sisters. Shout out to all the sisters who are on code. See, the sisters are holding strong, and that's the thing that's really messing them up because they're used to, you know, the little bed wenches here and there, but no. All sisters ain't on that bullshit. Sisters are on code, and that's the thing that's really scaring them because they thought Kamala Harris was going to sway the sisters their way. Sisters saw all the way through Kamala Harris. Much love to you, sisters. That's why we're going to hold you down. We're holding you down. Sisters see through Kamala Harris. Other sisters are like, nah, I'm good. And they know that. Because sisters, you work every day with somebody like Kamala Harris. You work with one of them boule white ass kisses. You work with somebody like that and you see the shit they do to you on your job. You see how fake they are on your job. They'll be grinning in your face and then going telling human resources everything you're doing. You work with them every day, so you see through that. So with them trying to give Kamala Harris the whole sister girl, she's down, nobody bought that, especially the sisters. In fact, that was insulting to sisters. It ain't? And that's why they had to try to spin this narrative of any black man who criticized her, well, he just hating. They don't like to see a sister shine. And sisters like, no, I don't like that motherfucker either. Sisters didn't buy them. Plus, sisters, you saw her track record. Out here in California, she has a track record of locking sisters up if their children were skipping school. These were sisters she was locking up. You don't lock up white people because white kids don't get in trouble. White kids skip school. White kids shoot up schools and don't get in trouble. White kids don't get in trouble. So let's be very clear. Her policies were not really affecting white kids. White kids don't get in trouble. White kids can blow a goddamn school up and nothing happens. Well, somebody picked on him. You'll get in trouble for picking on him. What? Damn it. Were you niggas picking on Billy? Were you niggas picking on him and made him shoot the school up? All you niggas are going to go to jail. Come on. They'll do that. Just like those white boys at that school who was out there fucking with them Hebrew Israelites and all that. And out there threatening people. Notice they blame the Hebrew Israelites. Talking about the Hebrew Israelites was picking on them. The Hebrew Israelites just standing in one place preaching. Those little white boys running around harassing people, doing all types of little stupid shit. Them niggas, them Hebrew Israelites made them do it. White kids don't get in trouble. All right? White kids do not get in trouble. But nothing. Because white adults rarely get in trouble. Yeah? They get that affluenza, exactly. That case of affluenza, I think down in Texas, this white boy was drunk driving, killing people, They said, we can't send him to jail because they made up a new disease. Well, he has affluenza. He's too affluent. He's too affluent. He can't go to jail. You know? Man. So the thing is, man, those policies were affecting black people. Let's be very clear. That was down in Fort Worth, yeah. So those policies affect black people. You in? What's up, Yvette Carnell in the chat room? Shout out to Yvette Carnell if she's in here. People are saying Yvette Carnell is in the chat. Shout out to Yvette Carnell. She's all about empowering the community. Shout out to her. Shout out to my man Tone Talks. He's doing good work to empower the community. Everybody's getting on code. Everybody is getting on code, and that's all I care about. We're on the same code. We're good. We're on the same code of empowerment. We're good. Get in? And shout out to everybody who's given to the Melanoid Ministries up there. Shout out to everybody. Also, hit up the tangibles2020.com. Tangibles2020.com, ladies and gentlemen, and contribute there so we can keep staying on the necks of everybody. See, the thing is, you don't have prominent people who have access to international media really speaking for black people, because usually these are people who are in the pockets of white corporations. So that's why they're only going to say so much. See, I work for the people. That's why I can stay on their necks. You know, I get a lot of flack for it, but the thing is, I work for the people. This is why I stay on their necks. This is why we create movements so that they can't they can't hide from these movements that's happening. These movements are effective, just like Jason Black and my brother Professor Black Truth was saying. These people are in panic mode right now. The establishment is in panic mode because they're seeing us get on code. Family, you guys are in the middle of a new civil rights movement right now. This is a civil rights movement right now. And I say civil rights just to compare it to the civil rights movement of the 60s. I like to call this a tangibles rights movement. We're trying to get some tangibles. This is a movement for foundational black Americans. See, the thing is, it's been a long time since foundational black Americans said, we're going to fight for us. You understand? And I want y'all to notice something. Family, have y'all noticed this? Have you guys noticed that almost every damn TV commercial, it's a black woman and a white man? Sometimes you got the black man and the white woman, but I looked at television one night, every damn commercial was a white man and a sister. Then they had like a little mixed kid, and I'm like, what kind of message they sending here? What kind of message are they sending here? I mean, it was like just gratuitous. It's just really, really over the top. And my man Jason Black, he made a good point that they're really trying to push that era, like hold on to it, because it's really going out. Ain't really them many bedwenches out there. The bedwench movement ain't as hard as it ain't as prevalent as people think it is. A lot of sisters ain't with that shit. Let's be very clear. A lot of sisters, because sisters know you get around some of those dudes, they want you to do all types of crazy bullshit. So sisters ain't with that. A lot of sisters ain't with that bedwench shit. Let's be very clear. Most sisters ain't with that bedwench bullshit. Because a lot of those dudes get into slave play. But they're really, really pushing that. They're really trying to say, you don't need no brother. You don't need no brother. Come on over here. Just let me dangle this carrot of whiteness, white daddy worship. Let me dangle this carrot for you. Let me dangle this carrot in front of your face. And let you see how it could be. You don't need to struggle. We can get something popping together without the black man. And on Netflix, there's a show. Have y'all seen this on Netflix? This is a screenshot of this Netflix TV show called, what's the name of the show? It's called Always a Witch. There's a show on Netflix called Always a Witch. All right, this is a screenshot of it. Now, what the hell is this when you look at it? Hold on. So this show is called Always a Witch. Now, it's a horrible show. I can only see a few minutes of it. The acting is bad, just horrible. The premise of this show is a sister who's living in modern times. She goes back into 1600s where she's a slave who gets with the slave master. They have some kind of relationship, but then they're about to kill him and burn her at the stake. So she goes back to the future, but then she's going back in time to do some back to bed wenching. It's a crazy ass premise. The premise is it's kind of ridiculous, but she's in modern times and she go back in time and she's going back and forth into modern times to bed wench. It's some futuristic bed wenching and back to the past bed wenching. They're desperate, guys. They're desperate. I fucked up. Hold on. Just all hell is breaking loose. I don't know what's happening. I'm disappearing. The bedwench spirit done got me. Shit. It done made me disappear. Oh, shit. The bedwench spirit got me. Shit. Just talking about spiritual bedwenches, it made me disappear. God damn. Oh, my goodness. But they're so desperate to try to dangle the white zaddy carrot in front of sisters. They're desperate to do this. You know? Man. But luckily sisters are not going for it. Sisters are on code, and I love it. Because sisters, see, you got sons, sisters, you got brothers. You don't want to see anything happen to them. You want them to be protected. And you know the only protection factor who's going to really put in some work is us, the black man. This is why they're always trying to chip away at our masculinity. We keep hearing this toxic masculinity garbage. And they really have to promote that with us because black men, we're the most masculine men on the planet. We're the most masculine men on the planet. So there's always this desire to buck break us. There's always a desire to buck break us, break our spirit, break our manhood. And this is why we got to stay on code to fight that. And we do that together. We do that as a black family. This is why, I'm a big proponent of promoting black families. You dig? And this is why whenever black people start doing things and talking about things as a family, that's a threat to them. Anytime we start talking about progressive black families, us getting together as men and women and raising our children as black men and women, well, damn it, how come they ain't transsexual? Well, let's in school, we're going to have to teach them, a little bit about cross-dressing. You see that movement that they're doing? And if we're like, hey, why does my son have to know that? Well, damn it, you homophobic. You see? See, they have to run this game on us. Did they have black male cheerleaders at the Super Bowl, man? I didn't watch it. Shout out to my brother Colin Kaepernick. But did they have those black dudes out there cheerleading, dudes? Shout out to POV Hilarious D. Shout out to my brother Arden Plumbing. Brothers are always very consistent with the Melanoid Ministries donations there. Yeah. Oh man, Lord, they had the brothers. Oh, I'm okay. All right. I didn't watch, so they had two black male cheerleaders. See, we're excluded from everything, but the minute we want to put on some a skirt and get some pom-poms, they'll put us front and center. You notice that? Whenever we want to do something like that, they'll put us front and center. We're not represented in nothing else, but whenever we want to dance and twerk as men, they'll put us front and center for that. You dig? I did not watch the Super Bowl. But family, we got to keep that Tangibles 2020 and the First Them movement going. We got to keep that going. And we're going to add more to it. We're going to add more on to the movements. Because this is how we counter a lot of the propaganda that they try to spread online. And we got to really keep an eye out on that Michael Jackson documentary they got coming out. Yeah, because I'm hearing a lot of reports on that, and that's just so damaging, and I feel so bad for the Jackson family with that propaganda. Again, it's that Me Too. They're ramping up, and they're trying to position themselves to use that to further slander black people. You know, again, they use black celebrities as proxies. But you know, when that gets released, you're going to see the same kind of thing they were doing with the R. Kelly documentary. They were using that to talk about sexual deviancy in black society. That's the whole narrative that they want to go with. You dig? What's up, Charm? Yeah, the nephew Taj, I think he wants to do his own documentary. And Taj Jackson follows me on Twitter, by the way. I want to get him on the radio show, by the way. But that was real disgusting. And they had to wait until Michael died to do it because there's a loophole where the family of a deceased person, you can't really sue them for libel or defamation. Like if you say something just completely incorrect about a dead person, there's a loophole where you can get away with it. And the family can't really sue you. There's a loophole. So that's why they had to wait till Michael died for them to get down and put that garbage out there like that. You dig? So, you know, that is what it is. But have I seen the Poshmark commercial? I have not looked at the Super Bowl. I have not looked at it. Yeah, Michael was found not guilty, absolutely. And by the way, y'all get your No Sentinel Island shirts. Y'all get these at hiddencolorsfilm.com. I can't wait till y'all see Hidden Colors 5. We're working very hard on Hidden Colors 5 right now. We're working very hard. Now, you know, we're talking about a lot of progressive stuff, but, you know, I'm very petty sometimes. And sometimes it's kind of hard to fight the petty away. You know, and I try to be as positive as possible. But sometimes the petty demons just get to me. And a little petty demon, hold on, I gotta get my prayer rag. I'm trying to pray I got my Ogun prayer cloth to pray the petty demons off, but I don't want to be petty. I try not to be because we had such a great conversation. Oh, this is my Ogun prayer cloth. Oh, Ogun, please. I'm trying not to be petty, but I'm trying my best not to be petty, but Cynthia G is pregnant, and God, why, Lord Jesus? Why? Every time I get out, you bring me right back in. Cynthia Synthetic G is pregnant. Lord Jesus, I need prayer right now. Lord Jesus, hallelujah. Walk away, Satan. Get away from me, Satan. I rebuke thee. Oh, God. I can't fight it, guys. I'm sorry. I can't fight it. I can't fight the petty, guys. I tried. I just can't fight the petty. With something like that, I just can't fight the damn petty. Lord, I'm having a petty relapse. Cynthia Synthetic G, the internet troll who trolled me, said horrible things about me and my family. Somebody got her little old funky ass pregnant. God forbid. And she got pregnant by a dusty beta male. she got pregnant by a dusty beta male, this fuck nigga who, whatever his name, this nigga would bootleg my movies back in the day. This dude was bootlegging my movies, putting them up on the internet, and I had to get at him about putting my movies up. And I had to get at him one time, and then he put up a video talking about, "Oh, me and Tariq is beefing." So and he got like 5, 6 kids already. So this is a kind of just a dusty union, a dusty hood rat like Cynthia, getting with a dusty bootlegger. Oh my God. Walk away, Satan. Walk away. Now, Cynthia, one of her friends kind of exposed her. She fell out with one of her homegirls. Her friend was putting up a bunch of texts that she made, and Cynthia was talking about suing me. Cynthia, she's always talking about suing me. And she wanted to sue me because I said she looked like Cheddar Man, the prehistoric European man who had melanin and a fucked up hairstyle. And she wants to sue me because I said she looks like Cheddar Man. But she can't. You can't sue me because I have proof. You know, I could just, if I were to go to court, I would just bring a $20 wig and just set it right on the judge's desk and be like, Exhibit A. And look at the plaintiff, Your Honor. If the wig ain't shit, you must acquit. I'm going to get off. I'm going to just show evidence of your fucked up wig. But since Cynthia G is having a baby, I think it's only right that we have a little baby shower right now, okay? And we got some gifts. Let's show some baby shower gifts for Cynthia G and the baby. Okay. She's having a baby and she's a hood rat, so we got some high heel baby shoes, all right, for the baby shower. We got some high heel baby shoes, all right. Oh, and we're having a baby shower. You dig? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, since Cynthia's with a dusty bootlegger, we got him a DVD duplication machine so he can make money to help pay child support. So that's for your baby's daddy, your dusty fucking beta, for your dusty beta male baby. We got him a duplicate so he can bootleg quality films. Walk away, Satan. I rebuke you. I just can't fight it. Lord Jesus. Oh, God. What else we got for Cynthia? Okay, so for the baby shower, for the Cynthia G baby shower, and I know Cynthia's looking, she's probably mad right now, but it's okay. We got you, oh, God, since you're pregnant, Cynthia, we got to get you some non-toxic lace front glue, because you can't have that while you're pregnant. You can't have all those chemicals while you're pregnant. So we got some non-toxic lace front glue. So it's non-toxic. It still holds moisture. You did. Because, you know, you can't have all them chemicals around, when you're pregnant. You can't have that. So, also, we're going to have, we got you, because we know times are hard with that dusty beta man. We got you a Rush EBT card. This is a Rush card / EBT card, and it's prepaid. So you can get all types of good shit on the Rush EBT card. All right. And what else we got? We got a lot of good things for Cynthia. We got, oh yeah, this is real good right here. We got you some gourmet government cheese. All right. So y'all can make some good, delicious grilled cheese sandwiches during your pregnancy. There we go. We got that good. This is the good government cheese. This is the good one. It's the cheddar. It's American mixed with cheddar. All right. So, and finally, for the Cynthia G baby shower, we got expected mothers, you want to have a portrait of yourself. So we got a glamour shot. We got a glamour shot for you that you can hang up. And this is a portrait, a self-portrait of her that we've of Cynthia. And you're going to love this one right here, Cynthia. This is a glamour shot. Oops. It's kind of big. Hold on. I can't. Hold on. I can't. Wish I could flip it. Hold on. How can I flip the damn picture? Okay, this is a glamour shot of, that's the glamour shot of Cynthia right there. She can hang that up on the wall. We really dolled her up. I wish I could flip the picture. You dig? But that's, I wish I could rotate the picture, but shit. But yeah, that's a glamour shot of Cynthia with her lace front. I wish I could flip the damn picture. I can't flip the goddamn picture. Oh, Lord. All right, but yeah, that's Cynthia and her glamour shots right there. So you can hang that up on your wall. You know? You see the purple highlights in the hair? That really captures your essence right there. All right, so that's the Cynthia G baby shower right there. All right. I had to... Oh, God. Man. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lord. Hallelujah. Right click to flip the pic. Hold on, let me see, because I want to put that picture up correctly. That's a very good picture. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. I want to get that picture up there correctly. Hold on, where we at? There we go. Okay, it works here. Shit. Man. I don't know why that picture didn't rotate the way I wanted it to. But anyway, I had to be just a little tad bit petty. I had to be a little tad bit petty. Excuse me, I'm burping and shit. Damn, excuse me. I forgot the headband. I know. Oh, goodness. But anyway, let me get out of here, man. We had a great conversation tonight, man. The conversation was absolutely wonderful tonight. You know, I had to be a little petty, though. Y'all know me. But everybody, go to tangibles2020.com. Tangibles2020.com. Oh, yeah, before I... 21 Savage, man. 21 Savage got arrested by ICE, by immigration. And they're talking about deporting him back to Britain. Nobody knew that he was British. 21 Savage is actually Britain. He's a British dude. So I think he came over here when he was 13, but he just never told anybody. That's interesting. A lot of people over here are immigrants, won't even know it. I thought that was very, very interesting. He was, given the impression that he grew up in Atlanta or something like that, but he didn't. The dude is Britain. And he moved to, I think, Atlanta when he was 13 years old. And, he got caught a couple of felonies or whatever. And, if you catch felonies, they automatically deport you. But that's very interesting. His visa expired damn near a decade ago. Well, yeah, over a decade ago. Not damn near, over a decade ago. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. So, hopefully he'll be all right, Hopefully he'll be all right. I don't like to, I'm not trying to ridicule any situation like that. But there are a lot of immigrants down in Atlanta. But it's funny how a lot of cats are immigrants. You just never know. That's very interesting. But anyway, man, let me get up out of here, man. Yo, go to Tangibles 2020. We had like 7,000 people in here. All 7,000 of you go to tangibles2020.com and contribute, because we're making this movement real. As you see, we were on a conference, me and my other brothers, telling you what tangibles to bring to these politicians, what type of plans we need to bring to them about giving resources to us, creating what could be compared to a Marshall Plan talking about land allocation, talking about resource allocation, talking about amnesty, talking about sovereignty to a certain degree where, you know, they can't come into certain neighborhoods harming us. A lot of great ideas that we can bring to the table when we're talking about tangibles, and we got to be unafraid to say we want these for black people. I want black folks to get in the habit of not saying minorities, not saying people of color, not saying black and brown. Let's get out of that. We all got to say black Americans, what we need for black Americans. I don't even like African Americans. That's another trick bag. Jesse Jackson created that term, actually, in the 80s. We got to start saying what's going to be done for Native black Americans, foundational black Americans. We got to own that. See, the thing is, we've been so afraid of our history, and we felt embarrassed because people shame us for our history. We are exceptional people. There's nothing we should be ashamed of. We are the foundation of a country that everybody is flocking to. We are the foundation of this nation. We're the moral fiber of this nation. You dig? American ADOS, Black Americans ADOS. We have to own that, and we have to understand how exceptional we are. The face of America and the face of blackness. We are that. We are that. We got to understand our influence, and we got to recognize who we are. And we got to stand on that, and we got to, convene around that and not be afraid to do for ourselves. We don't have to include everybody. There's nothing wrong with saying no. We don't have to be the kumbaya people. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we can't really rock with you right now. This is something that we got going on for ourselves. And don't let nobody try to guilt trip you. Oh, come on now, that's just discrimination. No. This is self-preservation, because everybody discriminates against us. You look out for your group, we're going to look out for our group. And when they try to shame you, just ask them, what has your group done for black Americans collectively? That's all you got to ask them. When people try to say, hey, man, you shouldn't really ask for anything for black people, man, that's ain't that reverse discrimination? Okay, your group. What has your group done for black people collectively? That simple question shuts up a lot of people. You don't have to go back and forth. Just ask real simple questions. What has your group, your Hispanic group, what has your group done for black Americans? I can show you what we've done for you. We can point to what we've done for you. We're the ones who helped get you over here. We're the ones who fuel your economy. You come set up businesses in our neighborhoods. We're sending your kids to college. Every dime you make comes from us. So we can show you how we're helping you. None of them can show how they've helped us. Do y'all? I really wish black folks understand that. That's why you got to hold your own nuts. Don't come telling us what we need to do. We've done enough. Y'all got to hold your own nuts as far as all that other stuff. Yeah? But anyway, man, go to hiddencolorsfilm.com if y'all want this. Get this shirt, hiddencolorsfilm.com. Tangibles2020.com. Everybody, if you're watching, hit that now. Go to Tangibles2020. Also, everybody, hit that subscribe button right now and hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe, thumbs up, and I'm out of here. Y'all be good.